I'm taking some time out from a game of cricket, which I play really badly, to just think about watching our old man Howard squat to behind the wickets, and it strikes me that, you know, how is he able to do that? And he's not a young man, none of us are in this team, but he's able to do it because he continues to be able to do it. And the squat is one of those things that we tend to take for granted when we're younger. And a lot of people say, well, you know, I can't squat anymore. And the reason being is that, you know, they stopped squatting. And when we were little, we could squat. You know, that was a natural position that we'd go, you know, we get potty trained in. And as babies, we'd always be able to squat. And then suddenly, once we get to school and we start doing it, we can't do it anymore. But the thing about the squat is that it's essentially the thing that is a reset, I believe, for the body. If you imagine that we were going to go into the forest and we were going to, you know, discharge our bowels every day, well, that would be the way to do it. As we squat, the pelvis tilts, the rectum's pointed down, and not only that, but we put the whole system under pressure. We sort of squeeze what is a fluid and wet system and drive all those fluids around the body. So it's a really big deal, and it would be a reset. So inventing something like the toilet is probably a disaster for many of us, Western world. What do we see? We see, you know, more knee replacements and hip replacements, and more back pain, and, you know, potentially more things like bowel disease and so on and so forth. Now, you know, I haven't got the statistics on it, but we do see that you know, hip replacements and knee replacements are common. So the whole idea of a squat is to drive not just as a reset for things like the lower back and the sacrum, but the fact that we have a lot of lymph nodes in the areas that we're squatting. So if you look at the knees and the ankles and around the groin, and also it's going to change the pressure between our abdomen and our thorax. And the driving of lymph is really important. And every system in the body is designed to get rid of fluid, drive fluid, clean the fluid. That's really what we're all about as fluid systems. And cleaning the fluid and cleaning the fluid is banter from the side, and cleaning the fluid, it's all these systems are around that. So what lymph does is it hangs around areas where there's lots of movement. So we've got lots of movement in the groin, around the back of the knee, in the thorax, around the sternocleidomastoid in the neck, and this is where we end up with, you know, turning the neck is going to squeeze and contract the lymph nodes and push fluid around. Interesting enough, where that fluid's all going to go is down into an area that's in the middle of the thorax, and again, things like, you know, where the psoas ends up and where the quadratus lumborum coming from the pelvis ends up, and also where the tails of the diaphragm go down, is a sort of little junction, and this is an area that we call the cisterna chyli, and this is where all that fluid is going to be drained into, and then pushed up, and then recirculated, cleaned out and recirculated eventually. So the whole idea of a squat is health-giving, resetting, and really important. And when we can't do it anymore, it means that we're not able to fully drive the fluids in the way that maybe nature intended. Now, people will talk about raising their feet above their knees, above the level of their hips, and you get these things called a squatty potty, which is great, but you're not loading, you're not actually putting the pressure in through the hips and into the lower back in order to get that change going on. So I'm not suggesting that people go out in the forest and dig a hole in the garden or something like that and do a poo in it. I'm just saying that, you know, the natural order of things would be for allow us to have that reset, you know, at least once, maybe twice a day, and that would then, you know, sort of create the lack of need for maybe us going to the gym. But I haven't asked Howard about his bowel habits in relation to whether he squats or not. I don't think I'm going to either. But it's certainly an interesting thing. So again, if you can't squat, I'm not suggesting you go and do it straight away. It's going to take a little while to get into it, but it's certainly one of those things that I think there's a measure of health. The ability to sort of get up from a sort of cross-leg position straight up is a measure of functional ability. So just interesting little observation on a perfect mid-summer's afternoon, early evening, and I shall go back and watch the cricket. The reason I'm actually able to do this is because you might guess that I got out quite easily, quite quickly. And so for 2. That's the squat. So I hope you enjoyed that, and if there's anything else you want to ask, any comments, anything that you think is worth adding on to this, or anything else you'd like me to film, then please ask me the question, and like, subscribe, do all the things you're supposed to do. And thanks very much for watching. See you next time.